I'm joined here again at the puzzle by another legendary member of our team. This is Geoff Amos. Many of you will know Geoff, no doubt. I've known Geoff for nearly 20 years, and it is that long, Geoff. I worked it out earlier. And Geoff's been coming a little bit longer than that. So, sort of the idea today is that Geoff talks about sort of the musical history of the puzzle, his involvement in it, and just sort of like what we're looking at for the future. Obviously with Unplugged Puzzle, but also with sort of other things that we're going to have going on. So, Geoff, I think the really interesting point is, when did you first come in? If you're willing to share that.
Oh, I don't know. I first came in here in 1962 as a 15-year-old looking for a place to get a pint. I've never left. The atmosphere then was just wonderful. It was full because it was the old brigade then, so it was darts and dominoes and falling out with each other, etc. And I was allowed to have drinks because I hadn't shaved. I shaved early, and I just kept coming back. But contrary to received wisdom, there was no music then. It was just a bog standard working class pub, and it was like that for quite a number of years.
So in terms of the music, when did that sort of first come in?
Raised its head very early 80s, I think 1980. I just finished a course at London University at Goldsmiths College, which was good, and I'd come back, and because I'd been down there nearly over 2 years, the clientele had already changed. A lot of the older lads were just dying, and some younger guys had found it and quite liked it. So within that first year, what happened was Bill Leader, a really, really great sort of record producer who worked for Warner's, I think, at the time, but he just moved up here. He was more mainly in the folk world, and up into Greatland, and he'd started Leader Sound, and he was recording on Monday night, and he brought the band down to have a break, and it was the Mekons. I don't know if you know of them, and he was recording them. So they played for their supper, and then Pete Cole was around, because we've had a lot of really highly thought of folk musicians around here, still have. So they come down, they started a bit of a session in here, which this used to be the tap room, and they ran it for a while, but I don't think it suited them, because it wasn't a sort of folk audience really, and so people were just chatting over it. And so they stopped then for a while, then I put the occasional band on, and then Jerry Mellon, who was ex-landlord here, sadly died I think he was just 50. We both had a bit of a theatrical background, so we started to do a little like Beckett two-handers, just for the sheer hell of it. Or we'd put a sheet up, and we'd have, he had some very weird slides, I had some odd, and we used to throw them up in the air and then put them on the carousel, and whatever came up we had to work with that. So that went down well, it was alright.
There was that kind of theatre thing going on, and then
it was beginning to get that way, and what moved on then was, and again I can't exactly remember the year, but it was later on in the 80s that the landlady then, it wasn't manager, it was someone else, said, can we get some music going? So I said, yeah, alright, we'll put some jazz on. And they didn't know that I'd already been running major festivals and what have you, knew a lot of people. And we chose Tuesday night because the guys were always working, to a high degree. So Tuesday night, none of them was ever doing anything. And they came in here and they loved it. They get 50 quid, which is nothing short of an insult in a sense, but then you can't charge, you couldn't charge them either. And then we didn't even do a hat though, but they fell in love with the place because the atmosphere in here was simply tremendous.
And I think as well, Geoff, it's that, I think it's for whatever gigs or whatever, even open mic, it's a very appreciative, very knowledgeable audience.
Oh, it has
really,
been.
It's just great to play to them.
Yeah, and I mean, what was happening here was, of course, the band and the audience was maybe that much distance between them, and it's really where most live music should happen. But of course, you can't earn a living like that but of the excitement and it, as you said, it was a lovely, knowledgeable audience. And if any of the musicians had messed up, because often they come down and try new stuff out, they all knew and laughed, you know. So and the guys loved it, you know. So yeah, big names.
Can you reel some of those names off, Geoff? Because you know, even if you're not a jazzer, some of them, I know the people.
Yeah, I thought about that. I've done it. It's a bit difficult. I mean, we nurtured a lot of musicians. I mean, Mike Walker, a guitarist who travels worldwide now. We gave him Mickey Howes, beautiful piano player, similar thing.
Yeah.
Our first gig was with Gary Boyle, who was touring worldwide in the 70s. He just lived over the hill there, and he came. There was 3 guys in that corner crying their eyes out, because he was huge, and they'd never believe it would see him in a pub and their favourite boozer as well.
Well, you know? It's a little bit like my boyfriend Alex. The first day that he got a job and moved here, and he came in and he was sort of chatting to Nigel. I think he was at the pub then, and he said, "Oh yeah, it's John Etheridge."
Yeah.
I'm like, John Etheridge.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that kind of place where you get these musicians that just turn up, like you say, for a bit of practice. They might be going to Night and Day in Manchester. They might be going to the Brunel. They like the audience. They like sort of the vibe and the chance to sort of try stuff out.
Yeah, and some of it they were on tour and they had a free night. We'd rather go back to London. You know, I'd fix them on here if the time was all right. John was a regular up here, as was Gary Boyle, and we'd also, I mean, I was running through in my head with musicians from Australia, Poland, Greece, Argentina, Canada, and 2 lots from the States, from New York, that I can think of. And they just absolutely loved it. It cost me an arm and a leg, I have to say, supporting this. I was working this out a few months ago, and in the 16 years or so, I spent about 26,000 quid.
Well spent, though, Geoff.
Well, yeah, I was happy. I mean, it's a huge amount, but at the same time, it's only like 1,500 quid a year or something. And that was to maybe top a fee up. If it wasn't a big band, they could stay with me. So you'd end up giving them dinner, supper, alcohol, and then breakfast.
Now, I'm going to just suggest, Geoff, that this wasn't entirely altruistic, though, because I think you did get some of your own sitting room gigs, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was a while in the music in the parlour as well. 28 people and up to a quartet. You know, that was fantastic. Asaf Circus, the really well-renowned Israeli drummer, came and ran a workshop up there in my room before he came down.
So other venues are available, but we're obviously talking about the puzzle here. But I think like what you said there about, you know, the sort of not even having a hat in those days, and I think, you know, particularly with recent events, it's really important that people do get out there and get to see live music and sort of, you know, we have the hat system here, and it's like you throw a few quid in and suddenly if you've got 40 people watching a gig, it's kind of made it worthwhile for those artists.
You know, no, it's been fine. Oh, I did forget the Sowerby Bridge Underwater Cavalry that we formed. It was a throwback to the Victorian whiff and poof bands, and they made instruments out of anything they could find because they hadn't any money, and we costumed up. I do have a photograph there. I don't know if you can get it on camera. Shall I give it a little go and see?
Yeah, go on, Geoff, put it out. Let's,
Oh, that was a poster that I used for the... how about that? Can you see that? Jerry is the pilot. I'm down the front with some glasses. Sadly, it's not in colour because that was a silk suit made for a gig I did a sort of summer play scheme, and it was kingfisher blue, bright orange, and lime green, and it was a tailcoat with all that.
Very tasteful and understated.
Yeah. So that happened down here, you know, so that was all right.
Absolutely, Geoff. I mean, you know, you've got the Club Afrique poster behind you here as well, haven't you?
The Peripatetic Club,
Yes,
we went everywhere. So for 3 years, once a year, we ran a cabaret in here, and that was just brilliant. It was really well done. It was on a Monday night. this time of year, actually, in November, we fill the place.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of would think, isn't the appetite for a cabaret night in a cold, rainy West Yorkshire town on a Monday night? But there is, and it was proven 3 times, like you say.
I mean, and also, a lot of people knew what I did, and it was always, well, inboundly good. I mean, the first year, with a world champion axe and knife thrower, with a flamethrower, eater, fire eater, with burlesque, as well as music. But that's the thing, to get back on the theme of it. It was enlarged from just purely music as well.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's important.
Well, I think that, again, Unplugged Puzzle is kind of the reason that we're here to begin with, talking to each other. And that's the nice thing about it is, it's spoken word, it's performance, it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
And I think because it's not mic'd well, I was discussing the other week with Jenny and Alice, I think sometimes the pressure of being mic'd up is off-putting for people.
Yeah.
I found the first session we did that I came to was lovely for that reason, for just it being nice and relaxed.
And it works well then. I mean, we had a little quartet that Margaret was part of, and I was singing in that, not very well, but we could come down here, and we just didn't eschew the mics, we didn't want them. It was close harmony, and we just stood out there, and it gets people listening as well.
Absolutely, it does. I think that's it. In a particular place like the Puzzle, the audience kind of respects the performers.
Yeah.
There's a sort of respectful lowering of the noise very often.
Yeah, think of them a fair play.
In terms of jazz, though, Jeff, as I was saying earlier, you and I have been having some dark rumblings, haven't we, about, is there an appetite for jazz down this valley? I think there probably still is.
Well, you see, I'm not sure, which is why I've stepped back from trying. Because now, all the people I work with over the years, they've gone on. There's a whole new generation around now. They have no loyalty to come here and work for absolutely nothing. In fair play to them. I've always had that dichotomy of, raged about musicians not getting paid properly, and yet one of my most successful gigs was here. It's mad. So, and the audience has grown up, died. They've got families, and the other thing is we're guilty of our own success because eventually people were coming from Ripon, from Doncaster, from Merseyside. They all said, well, if you can do it here, we can do it in our little town. And they've all gone off and done that.
I mean, in a way,
so they took some of the audience with them.
In a way, that's nice, though. That it's actually kind of, spawned, a jazz night somewhere more far-flung that maybe didn't have one before. I mean, personally, I love jazz, you know that.
Yeah.
And I think, there maybe is an appetite for it. We've just got to maybe kind of float that idea, I reckon.
Yeah, we need to pay them, sadly. Not sadly, but...
Sadly?
No, that's what I mean was because everyone else coming in, it's a much lower fee base.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of something everybody's got to keep in mind, is like I say, making sure that we support the gigs and making sure that we sort of dig deep when bands do come in. But
if people are good with their hat, it can work.
Absolutely.
But so often, I'd find buttons and sweets. And other guys politically knew what they were doing. They'd be tendering.
Yes.
Because I'd have paid more than this Jeff somewhere else.
Well, Jeff, it's probably, a very good sort of analogy for society, isn't it? Some people put buttons in and some people put tens in, and it all works itself out.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about something else?
I think that's fair.
Oh, actually, I was going to ask you just about being a publican.
Oh, yeah, I was. Yes.
Exactly, yeah. So, Jeff, you were a publican for many years.
Me and my brother owned the Three Pigeons in Halifax. Lovely Art Deco place. Did very well out of it. Ran it properly. No messing about. Things like that. But, and then we sold it.
So, as somebody who was a publican, what do you see as the challenges for pubs at the moment? And
Oh, it's income.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 and 4 really. It's difficult. I think there are some that have lost their jobs now, and some of them have got out the habit of coming to the pub, although I think that's more people who go and buy Carlsberg and sit at home drinking.
How very dare they?
Indeed, but if that's all they're drinking, might as well stay at home, I guess. They're not going to come out, they don't.
No, but I think, what you're sort of alluding to there is that, use it or lose it. And,
well, absolutely.
particularly community pub, I think you've just got to make sure that, I'm not suggesting that we all become functional alcoholics and we kind of, just live down at the puzzle. But,
Yeah.
I think it's important that we do use it, particularly in the winter months, because it's very easy to hibernate.
Yeah.
But there's a lovely firelight in there, which is much nicer than one you can have at home.
Yes.
So come down, is what I'm saying.
Oh, yes.
And come down to the next Unplugged, which is this Thursday coming, I think.
You might catch me dancing on tables again.
Oh God, maybe don't come down then. Anyway, Geoff, thank you very much
You're
for
welcome.
speaking to us about your time spent at the puzzle and the many jazz gigs you put on. And you never know, we may have another cabaret or jazz night, but we're not really sure yet, are we?
No, I think we may be looking towards February now.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking carnival time would be a good idea.
So watch this space.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, thank you, Geoff.
You're welcome, thank you.